What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 3, season 2 of SportsCasters. We thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Enjoy.
Before it slows up, before the window of opportunity closes up. I came, I saw, I conquered, I'm ball. Yeah, I came, I saw, I conquered, I'm ball. Yeah. Yo, we should get them, so I got them all. Yeah. And turn this bitch into a barrier.
Hey everyone, and welcome to season 2, episode 3 of Sportscast Media. I'm your host, Jalia Santos. Sportscast is brought to you today by Rells Revenge and Slim Dev Music. I'm here as special guest, Noah Chast, and as always, our 2 analysts, Matthew Anderson, Sterling Harris, and our founder, Chris Lyles Jr. So yesterday night, the NBA Finals started off Game 1, Lakers versus the Heat, with the Lakers going up on Game 1. So how do you guys feel as for what the Finals is, the forecast, and what's to happen later?
I almost called Sterling whenever the Heat went up big at first. I think they were up at one point by 14. And I was like, y'all, we got us a ball game. We have us a series. But then the Lakers did what they did. You see all the Heat injuries I'm sure that y'all will talk about later. And it looks like this series might end in 5, maybe 6. But I think Jalen Rose said it best this morning. The Heat are just kind of trying to avoid this sweep at this point.
Go ahead, Sterling. You go ahead, man.
Oh, man. I mean, what can I say? If you would have told me that the Lakers are going to hit 11 first-half threes and that our 3 best players are going to go down in the game, I picked us to get beat by 32. I mean, yeah, Jimmy played through the injury, but clearly that was a bad sprain, and I don't know how good he's going to be the next game. But, I mean, I just feel like, it's the Lakers, and we had to play almost perfect to even have a chance in the series. And now we have injuries, so it's been a nice run, but
I will say this. I really did. I don't know. I didn't really see that series going the way that it went. I really had, the Heat going in 6. But now with, 3 of your best players down, now it's looking like, eesh. You make it a smooth 5. May. And as Stephen A. said earlier today, the only thing that can save y'all is prayer. But even then, divine intervention may not work.
I don't even know.
God is always on time, but he may be a little late for this one. But nonetheless, I think it kind of going off of what you were saying earlier, they have to play perfect. And then Jimmy Butler said that before even the season started. He was like, we have to play literally, we have to dot every T or cross every T and dot every I in order for us to even win this game, because everybody had the Lakers going to 7, but they had the Lakers winning. There were only a few ESPN analysts that had the Heat winning, like 2, but I'm not gonna say no names because I actually remember those names. But everybody else had Lakers in 7. So I don't know. I think this series is pretty much a done deal. We pray for the speedy recovery of those 3 individuals, but nonetheless, I think LeBron and AD gonna get that chip.
That was one of those.
Oh, sorry, you could go. Sorry.
I was just saying, I was one of those fools. I had the Lakers in 7. That was my pick. I maybe just wanted to be more competitive. I wanted the Game 7 energy, wanted to see LeBron. But the Heat are lucky if they go 5, especially with these injuries.
Yeah, that was my question. That if those injuries, if they don't come back, y'all think it's just gonna be a blowout every single game, or even some competition? Like, what is it?
I think it won't be a blowout because we saw with Kendrick Nunn when he came in. We saw with Kelly Olynyk. We saw the progress that they tried to make with an already demoralized team. And I think Kendrick Nunn is one of those guys where he's a spark off the bench, but having him start, I think that'll be even better for the Heat. Now, is that enough to beat LeBron and AD? No. But is it enough to, kind of make the gap instead of you losing by 30? Now you're losing by 15? Okay. All right. Now we can make it work.
Well put.
It's tough because –
Go ahead, Sterling.
What? Well, the thing about Kendrick Nunn and this series, I don't think it's going to be a blowout because we're fighting in a very ignorant team. We're not going to go out there and lay down. Like that's not Heat culture. That's not Heat basketball. And Kendrick Nunn, he started most of the season for the Heat anyway. It just happened that in the bubble hit, Garn just ascended to a new level. So I mean, there's some familiarity with Kendrick having to be that lead guard. Now he's still a rookie. Like Tyler and like Duncan, basically, or like a second-year guy like Bam, it's the finals, is the biggest stage, and you're going against a bunch of really, really good veterans on the other side of the court. But, I mean, I think we'll still put up a really good fight.
Think y'all get one?
We get one. I think it'll be a game where, like, Duncan and Tyler and everybody just catches fire. I mean, you get one. You catch fire in one game.
What's your percentage of them getting one? Like, you think they're going to get it like 65, 75? What you think?
I think it was a 90% chance to get one. Just because it'll be human nature. It'll be human nature. I mean, let's think about it. Next game, they're probably running the Mama jersey, so they ain't losing that game. Game 3 is the game where usually the best team, they lull for a game. And then the underdog team that's like, we can't go down, 3-0 gets hot. That's usually when that's going to happen. And then the back half is, LeBron will take over or AD will take over for the last 2 games. But I give us a 90% chance to get one just off of heat culture and the fact that we can shoot it. Like, we can't the probability of us getting super hot is very likely. It's not like I'm hoping that we get hot. Like, we can get hot pretty easily. So, I'll say we'll get one.
Does anybody know what those injuries are? Like, who will be back next game or who might be out for the rest of the series?
Everybody is getting evaluated at this point in time. They ruled Goran Dragic with a plantar fasciitis. I don't know if I said that right.
He has a torn plantar fascia in his foot.
Yeah,
they ruled him doubtful. They ruled him doubtful, and they ruled Bam doubtful with his shoulder injury. Yeah. They didn't put Jimmy on the list, but I think Jimmy's just too stubborn to allow his name to get put on the list. So I think he's on the list too.
It is, because I was surprised back in the game when he did, and then he seemed like he was getting himself hurt even more when he was in the game.
Counterproductive.
He's too stubborn, but I love it. I love it.
Shut him down. I understand stubbornness, but man, we need you. Like, you are the heart and soul of the team. I understand you got Tyler, you got Duncan, you got Bam, but Jimmy is the glue that holds everybody together. Now, you lose your glue, you don't have – I mean, you still have a team, but it's a little different now. So that's why I wish Eric would have sat him out. I understand Jimmy wanted to, prove to his team, like, hey, I'm going to still play this and that and the third. And I'm like, you got to look out for the best interest of winning for your team.
Well, I think the best thing for us, though, was – I mean, yeah, like what was you about to say?
I was about to say the Heat, they have the more experienced coach too, so I'm sure Eric Spoelstra will go back to the drawing board. I don't think they're going to put up another dud like they did the last game, even with their injuries. He's been there and done that before. I'm sure they're going to come at it with a different outlook. And the Lakers, at least in the first half, they're not going to shoot as well from the 3 ball as they did in the first game. I mean, if they do, might as well wrap the series up, but there's no way they shoot that well the rest of the series.
I don't think they'll drop 11 in the first half, but now that everybody knows what they're capable of, it doesn't surprise me now. Because it's like, to me, when I saw that, I was like, where has been that for the entire series? And I talked about this last night on our in-game analysis of Game 1 on Instagram. I felt like because they hit 11 threes and they hit it so smoothly, like it wasn't forced. Like, it was literally like LeBron and Rondo had them guys in a certain position where they should have been and were all throughout the playoffs. They just didn't get shots. So it's like, okay, you were in the right position throughout this whole entire time. Why are you just now hitting threes? I understand you hit it in the big moment. I get that. But a lot of those games where they were, down by like 15 or whatever throughout this entire series, they could have actually hit those shots. And now that we've seen that, now I know that they can do that. So it shouldn't be a problem now. I don't really see them hitting 11, but I do see them hitting like maybe 6 or 7. But
it was just like, so demoralizing. Like, you're up 23-10, and I'm feeling good. I'm like, okay, this is the start we needed. This was going according to plan. We need to get out to a hot start. We look like we can shoot the ball. Jimmy had like 2 threes, and Jay hit 2 threes. I'm like, okay, we're good. Then you look down for 2 seconds, and then it's 28-26, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I look back up, and then Jeff Van Gundy says, yeah, Goran's not even on the bench. I'm like, where did he go? Where did he go? And then then Jimmy turns his ankle, and then we're down by 20. And it started nice, ended horribly. But,
hate to see it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
All right, y'all, we're going to switch over to the next topic. So the NFL. So first 2 things, we're going to talk about the COVID and what's been going on in the NFL with these postponed games and stuff. And also just NFL history. It was, 2 female coaches and 1 female ref that was in the NFL games, and that's a big history because there's not a lot of women figures in the NFL. So I want to know how y'all feel first about. We're gonna talk about the women first, and then we'll go into COVID.
I think that is amazing. I really feel like when we talked last week on, Dion and what he did for HBCUs, I feel like because this is now happening, you now open the door for more women to come into coaching jobs. It's been since the NFL has started, it has always been a male-dominant league. And I think because we are now able to see, women come in and not only that, but do a great job at it. I'm not sure who won between the Washington football team and the Browns. I'm pretty sure it was the Browns. But even then, it was still a great show just between two women. And also just to see, a women referee. You don't really see that too much. You see that more so the NBA because the NBA is just more socially inclined than all the other leagues. But because NFL was able to mirror that and be able to do what they needed to do to show that, hey, we can actually put, more women in these type of positions and they can be able to succeed in it.
I like the topic because I don't remember what episode it was, but we talked about women playing sports in college, like college football and stuff. So I feel like if that starts happening where women are getting involved in the league and the NFL as coaches and reps, then there's going to be more women wanting to actually play the sport. And that might actually not be just a male dominant sport, like how the NBA has the WNBA and stuff. Maybe there'll be a woman's side to it too. So that could be definitely a start of something.
Are you implying that there will be a WNFL?
Maybe so. I don't know.
Wait, hold up. Y'all want me to give you an idea?
What's it?
Talk to me.
So there's a dude by the name of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson who just bought the XFL. Who can put on the show. And I think, we see this trend continue with, women and learning the game of football and being heavily involved in major jobs and refereeing. Oh, no doubt in my mind, because to me, teaching the game of football is very easy. It's not hard. If you want to learn, come learn, and everything. It's very easy to do. And we can see these women start teaching other women the game of football or men the game of football, whatever it comes. Whoever's good, you're good, regardless. If you're good at your job, you're good. And I could totally see The Rock coming in and saying, oh, yeah, the XFL is rolling a little bit. Let me throw another $1 billion to this women's football league and the women's XFL. Because, nobody can really rival the NFL because it's so big. Like, even NBA has trouble rivaling the NFL in terms of, like, marketing and stuff. But a sub-level like the XFL, that's like a branch off that can kind of do other things and probably do more than NFL, like, would be willing to do based on because the owners. I could definitely see The Rock with getting into the XFL here and then could possibly branch off and make a women's XFL league that's basically, football, but it'll be under his brand. So I feel like that would be better for them rather than the women's NFL, where they're still owned by possibly, the NFL owners or something like that. I think women's XFL give them more freedom to do some more stuff.
I think we discussed something like this. You think this would be in the spring?
Definitely in the spring. It can't be during NFL season. It just can't be.
Money.
Yeah, I agree.
Also,
I would say, like, as far as go ahead.
I'll say I think it's a great idea, and maybe a couple years down the road, but something right now, I don't think it's possible. Just if you look at like the pipeline of men's football, you have boys playing football as young as 6, 7 years old. There's not really any youth girls football programs, so you just want to have that pool to pull from. But I think what you mentioned, like having these women as coaches and referees and coordinators, it will get more young girls interested in the game. So then maybe we can develop these youth girls football and eventually down the line have that professional women's football league.
I think when you look at, I kind of like how like the women, when you got women involved in like rap and hip hop and stuff like that, it's like you start bringing things that maybe males weren't thinking of. And so you just translate that to like coaching and analytics and stuff like that. Women will probably bring an aspect to that the guys just weren't thinking of, and that'll continue to evolve the game. So you got to welcome everything as much as possible and see what comes with it. Because the more the game develops, the better off it'll be.
So next topic we said was just COVID and what's going on with these games. So I think first it was I want to be right. So it wasn't the Titans?
Yeah.
Titans and Steelers.
And it's Titans and Steelers.
It's selling.
The game got postponed, so it was supposed to be Sunday, but now I think they said possibly a Monday or Tuesday night. So you think this is the first of many? What do y'all think?
There was an episode that I recall vividly where I said what is the NFL doing to put parameters around testing their players and making sure everybody's safe? And then what you guys gave me was, well, it's a big roster. It's kind of hard. Start doing some research. The NFL is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You mean to tell me that there is not one way, and you have all these industry leaders and all these, buddies and this and that. You can't tell me that there is not somebody or some program or some kind of initiative that you can put in place to where if it's a 53-man roster, every single 50, well, I don't know how I was about to say that, but all 53 men should be able to get tested. And not even that, I'm not even saying put in a bubble. All I'm saying is put parameters around, okay, at the end of the day, we are asking for a team, you can only go here, for your safety and for others' safety. I think one of the things that the NFL has tried to do was they felt like, oh, because we're so big, we can't be able to do it. We're going to just say, okay, no fans. And they're acting like the fans are the only ones that can catch COVID and potentially infect players and coaches and all that. But in the end, when you have a 53-man roster, plus you have player personnel and you have faculty, everybody can catch COVID. COVID is not, it doesn't like solidify to one person. At the end of the day, anybody can catch it. So I feel like if the NFL was more strict on, or at least not even strict, or creating a policy or some form of parameter to where, like how the NBA, like they created a bubble. That was their parameter. The MLB sort of created a bubble, but that went south. The MLS created a bubble. So my thing is like, I'm not saying copy everybody else, but because you are a multi-billion-dollar industry, why are people catching COVID when you have the money and the resources to be able to prevent that?
I would say, because I think the NFL has their players getting tested like twice a week or something like that. Another problem you have, though, is because it's not a bubble, they still got like wives, families, all of this, that, and the third. So if those kids go to school, wife goes to work, whatever the case may be, she could potentially bring it back to her husband, who could potentially bring it back to the team. So that's a problem that they are having. I don't know how they're going to fix it because the NFL is just too big to have a bubble situation. But they got some type of testing protocol into place. It just so it happened that it got to I think the Titans staff member and like 3 players. I think 2 more of the players got it, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, I think the NFL expected this to happen just based off of how big their league is. And, oh man, am I still here? All right, I got a phone call. I'm not do not disturb. Anyway, I feel like the NFL knew this. They expected this to happen. They prepared for it, which is why they potentially was going to move it to a Monday, Tuesday schedule, depending on how the testing went. And that's why you have testing so that you catch these things. So you'll end up playing a game with 1 million players on the field now all having COVID. So, I mean, I think it's a give or take. I'm sure they have holes in – or they've established areas in the schedule for the event that this happens. So that way they can, reschedule pretty flexibly. Where not I don't know that's the word, but they'll be flexible in their scheduling. And if they have to go Monday, Tuesday or now, or move it, farther down in the season, then they'll be able to do that.
Sterling, that's actually a really good point you brought up because they probably knew there was going to be someone who got COVID at some point. But I actually just heard today, in their protocols they put out in the preseason, they said if a team has COVID cases, they either use their practice roster to fill that in or they have to forfeit the game.
Okay.
But then when it actually came to fruition with the Titans and the Steelers, they backed out on their protocols and decided to change the whole schedule. So if I were a Steelers player, I'd be pissed because now their whole schedule has changed. They have 13 weeks straight without a bye. When by the protocols the NFL set in place, the Titans should have forfeited this game. Instead, the whole season's changed for those 2 teams.
Huh. And I think with me personally, I want to make it clear, I have such a high standard for the NFL because when you are ranked, number 1 America's best sports league, I feel like, and you guys brought up good points. I've always preached to everybody, you want to be proactive, not reactive. And I know at the end of the day, you can't control everybody, but you can definitely put in certain parameters and certain policies or whatever, so that way everyone doesn't have everyone has a lower chance of catching it. I think, it's unfortunate that Titan staff member initially costed both teams their entire schedule to a degree. I think that's unfortunate, but at the same time, you have to ask, what did he do? Where did he go? Who was he talking to? Who was he around? And that's one of the things where it's like, as grown people, we're not talking about, college students who go to parties and don't wear masks. We're talking about grown people who get up, go play games, and go work. At the end of the day, what you got going on, man? Because now you're jeopardizing, from an owner standpoint. Now I look at it as, okay, now you're jeopardizing my money. Like, at the end of the day, you have to look at it where it's like, I understand, we're going to do what we can to make sure players and staff are taken care of, but now we're losing money. We're already losing money with fans not being here. Now you're asking me to postpone a game, and now I can't make even more money. So now it's like, all right, how can we be proactive and not reactive?
That's interesting. That's interesting what you brought up with the forfeiting, because I'm just thinking, that would make a lot of sense. But I guess
it makes they don't
must
want
be
to money. It makes the most sense. They don't want to lose the money of losing the game, so they went back on their word. That's all it is.
Hey, yeah. It's the NFL. The NFL we're talking about here. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, we will switch to the last topic, which is the MLB. So just like basketball, we're at the finals. MLB is in their playoff stage. So Noah, I'm gonna just direct all to you. So who do you think is top contenders, and who do you think is coming out?
Oh man, so I think my original prediction is looking pretty good right now. I said the Yankees and Dodgers. It was kind of a safe pick.
And you said the Astros. We didn't forget.
I said the Astros will make the playoffs. I didn't say they were going to win. And they moved
they
out.
Win a series.
They moved out of the first round, so my prediction's falling true so far. But yeah,
go ahead, man. My fault. Go ahead.
I was going to say the Dodgers are looking strong. They're probably going to beat the Brewers tonight. And the Yankees really proved something with their win over the Indians, because the Indians' strength, they were the best pitching team in the American League. They had the Cy Young and Shane Bieber, one of the best relievers and closers. And the Yankees clobbered Bieber and their relievers and their closer. And now they face the Rays, who the Rays' strength is also pitching. So while the Rays are the higher seed, if I were in Tampa, I'd be worried about these Yankees. And same with there's a couple other teams. The Astros, I don't think they'll make it far, but they got this first series. The Braves are looking strong. They just swept the Reds. I mean, it's the top teams are panning out, but we could still see some upsets.
So the Yankees versus the Indians, that score was like 12-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first game they just clobbered them.
It was 10-9 last night.
Well, last night was an even crazier game because the Indians jumped out to like a 4-1 lead, and the Yankees had a grand slam take the lead, and the Indians took it back, and the Yankees took it back. That one was down to the ninth inning, literally. But the first game, it was all Yankees.
Man, I saw that 12-3 score. I'm like, the boys out there playing basketball, ain't it? I was like, man, that's crazy. But I'm still sticking with my pick. The Yankees take it off. I mean, just because they have that team where it's like, kind of compared to basketball, they're pretty all around. I mean, there's not really one weakness that you can really hold on with the Yankees. So I feel like, they're going to be the ones to take the World Series.
I think most people don't watch a lot of baseball. It's like, oh, what's the Red Sox doing? What the Yankees are doing?
Yeah.
And we're all going to go for the Yankees. That's what I'm going for.
I don't care what y'all say. This is the Dodgers' year. It is finally arrived, okay? It's finally arrived. The Dodgers finally get it done this year. But the Yankees are scary just because them Bronx Bombers, my goodness, they just hit everything that comes close to the plate. But I still think the Dodgers are better pitching wise than the Yankees. I think that's where they're gonna lack. I think, hopefully if Clayton Kershaw can finally get out of the playoff funk, I don't think anybody beats the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's his kryptonite. He can't pitch in the playoffs. But I think you're all right. The Dodgers are the clear favorites in the NL. And I think in the American League, whoever wins this Yankees-Rays series are going to meet them in the World Series. So I think they're the top two teams in the American League. My pick's the Yankees. And I'll go all in Yankees over Dodgers. I'll take that pick.
You heard it here, folks. Yankees over Dodgers.
Leave me? All right, now when the Dodgers win the World Series, I need these receipts.
All right.
We got them here. They'll be up on. They'll be on here.
All right, y'all. So it was a great episode. I just want to close it out. So thank you again, Noah, for coming on with us today. Chris, Sterling, and Matt, as always. And once again, Sportscast is brought to you today by Rells Revenge and Slim Dev Music. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back next week for episode 4. Peace.
This podcast is brought to you by Official Slim Dev Music and Rells Revenge. Stay tuned next week for more on Sportscasters. See you soon.